with you on Sportscast. We're here today to talk NBA basketball. Specifically, we're going to talk the playoffs. The dust is more or less settled now on the playoff structure. We know what it looks like. We know who's in. We know who's out. As far as teams, we don't know who's going to be playing for those teams, which takes us to kind of our topics. Today, we're going to review what we know about the playoffs, what is pretty much etched in stone. We're going to talk about the unfairness of it. And we talked about this last week. There's no way it could be perfectly fair. It's just not going to happen. But there's one particular thing that really stood out at me or to me, and that was the fact that the difference between last season and this season in terms of when break time is for NBA players, the time between the finals finishing and the NBA season restarting again, man, it's really shrunk this season, and that is just an inherent disadvantage, I think, to whoever ends up winning it this season. So there is talk that the NBA is going to allow teams to pick up two additional players, so they're going to expand rosters from from 15 to 17. Um, sorry. So we're going to talk a little bit about um, who those two additional players could be for both the Lakers and the Clippers. Um, so those are the topics. Joining me today is going to be Tony Yashar, who is a writer for Peach Basket. He also owns another site called That Game Talk. I'll let him explain who he is and what he does. And Kyle is also supposed to be with us, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to join. We're just going to talk about those particular topics. And, if you have any questions or comments, if you want to tell us where we're right, tell us where we're wrong in real time, do it. We welcome your thoughts. I mean, that's what we do. We're fans. I do want to share one bit of kind of personal website information that I'm excited about. Um, we started LA Peach Basket to cover the Lakers and the Clippers. These are the teams that I know best. These are the teams that I follow, the teams that I enjoy. Um, but we really did it with an eye towards um, opening up opportunities for fans to write and to join podcasts like this. So when we started LA Peach Basket, we had a kind of a catchphrase, a motto, and that was "Voice of the Fan." And really wanted to be not the voice of the fan, but a voice of the fan. We wanted to provide an outlet for people if you wanted to write, if you wanted to um, join us on podcasts, etc. We wanted to provide an opportunity for you fans to do that. And so we got word last week that we were able to secure a trademark for Voice of the Fan, which is kind of cool. So right now we're not doing anything with that, but I think in time we're going to, because we really, really want to kind of let everybody know who we are, why we're here, and open up our site and whatever opportunities we have to fans everywhere. Fans of the Lakers, fans of the Clippers, fans of basketball. We just are guys and girls that enjoy talking basketball. So we are LA Peach Basket. We're the voice of the fan, trademarked, which is kind of cool. Now I see Tony on, and Tony, I did invite you, but I don't see you on yet. So I hope there's no issue or problem. It's still showing invited. So we'll give Tony a minute while he hopefully joins us. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what we know about the NBA playoffs right now. Um, we know, and I'm only going to talk about the playoffs. We know that there's 8 games. We talked about that last week, and we all pretty much had the consensus that the Lakers and the Clippers are in a really good spot because they are so far ahead. They're not really jockeying for position. The Clippers aren't going to catch the Lakers. There's a chance that the Clippers might be caught, but the difference between ending at 2 or 3 it's not that big a deal. So our take was that the regular season, those 8 games for the Lakers and Clippers aren't going to be that big a deal. I think it's going to be more about getting the team back and gelling together and playing together and just kind of getting their feet under them. Whereas other teams like Portland and Memphis and the Pelicans, they're going to have to play their hearts out to make that 8th spot. So we're really going to just focus on the playoffs today. The play-in tournament for that 8th spot, should it be needed, it likely will be, is going to be August 16th and 17th. Then the first round of the playoff is August 18th, and this is where it kind of gets interesting. Conference semis are September 1st. Conference finals are September 15th. The NBA Finals Game 1, September 30th. Game 7, should it be needed, is going to be played on October 12th. And that's where I want to start to talk a little bit. I still don't see Tony. Give me just a minute. I'm going to make sure that I successfully invited you. So, I see you on, Tony. Hoping there's no issue. But I'm going to go ahead and just get started just to be, I don't want to go too long, I guess is the bottom line. I want to get right into our topic. So hopefully, Tony, you'll be able to join here soon. I do see I see you on, Jason, at Crowd Pleaser. Man, worst comes to worst, we might pull you in. So be ready if you're willing to talk basketball with me. But we'll give Tony a minute. So let's talk about this first. Right now, as it stands, Game 7 could end on October 12th. Now, this is what's interesting. This season, 2019-2020 season, started October 22nd. Now, think about that. This season started right about within a week or so of when this season is going to end. I mean, it's staggering what has happened to the NBA season. Which is why a lot of players are really hesitant about participating, and I get it. I understand it from lots of different avenues, which I think we're going to talk a little bit about certainly next week. But this is the thing that's most interesting to me as I thought it through. So in a regular NBA season, without all of this stuff happening, players normally get about 5 months, right, from the time the NBA season ends and the time it begins. I'm not talking any preseason games or training camp or anything like that, but 5 months before the games start to count. This time around, the season is going to end right around early October, maybe even mid-October, and then it's going to start up again December 1st. That gives players 2 months. That's it. Is that fair? I mean, that's the question I hope to pose to Tony and to Kyle, who I'm guessing aren't going to be able to join. So let me give you my thoughts. Of course, it's not fair. Whoever wins this season, whoever ends up lifting the Larry O'Brien in 2019, 2020, is going to have about a month off. When you really kind of look at it, that's it. Then after that, they're going to have to get back into training, and the good players are going to be training the whole time anyway. But they're going to have to get back into training camp and playing preseason games. That's hard. That's rough. And at the end of the day, that's not fair for whoever ends up winning the NBA championship this season. When we didn't know what the playoffs were going to look like, I advocated for something unique, something different. This is a different time. This is a different year. We're not going to have everybody playing the same amount of games. We're going to be playing in empty stadiums, right? There's 101 reasons why this is so different. Why have the same playoff? It just didn't make sense to me. But I called Adam Silver. He didn't take my call, and it ended up going nowhere. I'm the only one who had that opinion, apparently. Um, um, LeBron James even came out and said, "Listen, we want things to be the same." No, it wasn't LeBron. It was actually Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, the owner, right, came out and said, "We want things to be the same. We need things to be the same." And that really resonated with the commissioner. So things are staying the same, which forces this really weird situation where we're asking these men to entertain us in the midst of this upheaval in our country, in the midst of a pandemic. It's rough, man, and I get why a good portion of them don't want to play, which is a topic we weren't going to talk about today. I'm gonna save that one for next week. But is it fair? Is it fair that there's going to be effectively 2 months time between the end of this season and the start of next? No, it's not. It's not, and that's just the way it is. There's really no other way around it. There was a third question that I wanted to discuss, but this segues pretty well from this topic. No, these playoffs aren't fair, but they're likely going to go on. We'll see, who ends up playing. We'll see how it ends up transpiring. But it's not fair, and because of that, I'm I just can't state it any more strongly, and I'm not saying this negatively, but whoever wins the NBA championship this season is going to have an asterisk. Of course, is going to have an asterisk. How can it not have an asterisk? People that are advocating for no asterisk just don't get the point. I think an asterisk just simply means this was a different circumstance. And has there ever been a more different circumstance than this season in the NBA? No, no. It's the first NBA playoffs where not every team has played the same number of games. That's unique. First NBA playoffs that we've had on neutral stadiums. That's unique. First NBA playoffs with no fans. This is asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. This is a triple asterisk. That doesn't mean that it's not going to count, right? The champions are the champions, and whoever wins it, if you're watching and you're a basketball fan, you might have a competitive streak. I know I do. And when it comes time to play, you want to win. That's the whole point of doing what we do. So whoever wins is not going to care that there's an asterisk. The fans of whoever wins isn't going to care that there's an asterisk. So you all thought I was making Tony up, but Tony's here. Tony is not made up. He's legit, and he's with us now. Tony, welcome. Can you hear me okay? Oh boy. Well, when you can hear me, just go ahead and start chiming in, man. But that's my take. Not fair, and the winner this season, unfortunately, is going to have to carry an asterisk. And to me, it doesn't matter. Should the Lakers win it? You think it's going to matter to Laker fans? No. Should the Clippers win it? I think the Clippers win in this season, and Doc Rivers has actually kind of mentioned this. Man, now I got two Tonys. This is really wild. Tony, can you hear me? Now we're back to one. I will tell you all, and I see that there's 14 y'all watching.
Yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
hear you, Cutie.
Oh, right on. I got you. I will mention to all of you that Tony is out of the country, and that explains probably why his connection is a little slow. But Tony, yeah, man, chime in anytime. I was just
Yeah,
making the point that Doc Rivers said that it would be kind of appropriate for the Clippers, who had been the laughingstock of the NBA for decades, the worst team, the worst run franchise, according to I think it was Sports Illustrated several years ago. Um, they, I mean, living in the shadow of the Lakers, for them to win the NBA championship this year is just kind of appropriate for the Clippers. But are the Clippers going to care? No. Are the Bucks going to care? No. Their fans won't care. The players won't care. It's going to be a legitimate championship, but everywhere else outside of Milwaukee, Los Angeles, or whoever else ends up winning it, we're going to see it as an asterisk. That's my take. Tony, if you can hear me and you got all of that, what do you think? I mean, is whoever lifting the LOB at the end of this season kind of doomed to have to ask an answer about the asterisk.
Yeah, I think that. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think that the use of the term appropriate for Doc Rivers, I think that's hilarious. And you can understand his perspective with the Clippers being, arguably one of the worst run teams, and I guess that's because of the losing record. I mean, but the Cavs um, are one of the worst run teams too, and they had some great success over the last couple of years.
true.
But I think that the you know, in my opinion, one of the two LA teams are going to win the title.
Hmm.
I don't see Milwaukee winning it, or anybody in the East for that matter. But I do think that it would be uh, a storybook ending if the Clippers were to win the title this year.
Now let me ask you this: if they do, and they're my pick right now, and I think it's silly to pick a team right now because we don't know who's going to play, we don't know who's how they're going to react
Right.
in an empty stadium, right? It's just silly right now, based on the teams that we know that we knew before the start the season suspension. The Clippers, I think, were the favorite to win it. I think that's clear. But I'll ask you point blank, Dan, should the Clippers win it or the Lakers win it, who you said that the champs coming out of LA, are they doomed to carry that asterisk around forever and ever?
I think that I think that when we first uh, talked about the asterisk for the season and whether or not that it would be applicable to whoever the current NBA champion is going to be the conclusion of that season. I thought that was um, a ridiculous notion, considering that every team would have a fair chance. But with the
Mhm.
possibility of some players, maybe even key players
Right.
to these
Yeah.
teams' championship run, not playing, I think now it may carry an asterisk
Right.
because now it becomes an unfair playing field because it's not dictated by um, equal opportunity of games played or
Right.
the equal opportunity for every team to have a certain amount of games to get in the rhythm. Now it's dictated by whether or not a player feels safe or not.
Yeah.
And if let's say Chris Middleton doesn't feel safe playing, that changes
Right.
the Bucks odds greatly. If Kawhi doesn't feel safe, that Patrick Beverly doesn't feel safe. Now that
Right.
changes the whole chemistry of the team, and you can't pull Tynus Enos off the street to take a roster spot for Patrick Beverly and get anywhere near the same production. So I do think that um, depending on the team and depending on the roster, there could
Sure.
very well be an asterisk for the
Yeah.
current NBA champion.
Yeah. And that's rough. But again, I think it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you get people together. Gianni and I talked about this last week. You get people together at the Y. Whoever wins 3 out of 4 or all three, I don't care what you're doing. If you win, you go home feeling like a winner. And it's going to be true for these NBA players, right? Even in these weird circumstances. Um, but yeah, it's it's a weird situation, and there will likely be an asterisk. I want to talk not now, but next week. And Tony, I'm not sure if you'll be able to be with us next week, but I certainly want to talk about Kyrie Irving and the call he had, and certain players, you know at least considering opting out. There are some Lakers in that group for different reasons. Some for medical reasons, some because of the situation we find ourselves in here in the states. There's a lot of reasons not to play, and I wouldn't fault anybody for choosing not to. I don't want to talk about that now, though, but I do want to talk about that maybe next week. What I want to end with right now is this interesting notion that the NBA is going to allow for roster expansion from 15 players to 17 players. Now, Some people are saying it's done. Some people are saying it's still possible. So I'm seeing both things. I'm not sure which it is. It seems most likely that it'll happen. Those two players will be on the bench. I don't know that they'll be active, but should a player go down, you can bring them in. So it makes sense in this situation where we do have I think an increased likelihood of injury and certainly coronavirus. Maybe getting somebody on a team makes sense to expand those rosters. So there are a lot of pretty decent players out there. I wanted to ask you. I'm going to read off the list. And Tony, I sent that to you earlier. I'm going to read it off for everybody. We got about 14 people listening and participating, so thank you all. I wish I knew Sportscaster well enough to know who you all were, so I can call you out by name and thank you. But I don't know it that well yet. I'll figure it out though. But whoever you are, if you're listening, thank you. Feel free to drop us a question, a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Is Tony feels I think less strongly that this season's winner is going to have an asterisk. I feel like they will. Would love to hear your thoughts. But let me read off this list of players. And what I want to ask you, Tony, is you get two. Who should the Lakers pick up and why? And same for the Clippers. So look at this list. By far and away,
I think for you already.
What's that?
I said I got one for you already.
Go, man. Oh, before the list, tell me.
Kenneth Faried.
Okay, he's on my list. The Manimal, yeah. Okay, well, who do you see?
Yeah.
Who do you see picking him up, and why?
The Lakers. I think the Lakers need him for the very same reason we talked about Paul Gasol coming back. Because Kenneth Faried is young. His energy off the bench. Yeah. He's a dirt guy. He's a garbage man. And they need somebody like that to spell them, especially in their small ball lineups where he can play the five. And that's my main reason. He's seasoned. He's still young. He's an energy guy. He's to me a better version of Tristan Thompson. And I like him for that reason for the Lakers. I don't even think that they have a guy like that in their front court, which if he plays during the time that that they have to really gel again, he could be key against a team like the Clippers because they have some really active big men, and he could be. It's not somebody that you want starting. I don't even know if you want Kenneth Faried in that situation playing 25 minutes, 27, 28 minutes. But to give you 10 minutes to take up some fouls, to cause some havoc, I think would be a great asset to the Lakers.
Okay, I like it. He's definitely on the list, which I'll read off here in a minute. And it's really telling that, as far as the need for someone like Faried, because Dwight Howard right now is on the fence, and you could argue that Dwight Howard has been that player, right, for the Lakers. Surprisingly, I was the first guy to admit I was wrong. I had no idea Dwight was going to be that good this year for this team. I thought he'd be a cancer. Right. I honestly did. But he's been good. He's been energy off the bench. He's blocking shots. He's dunking the ball. He looks great. But he has said he may not play. At least he's considering it. Unfortunately, the mother of one of his children recently passed away. And so he's, what would you do? I know I would certainly consider not playing. I get it. So, if Dwight's been that guy, the Manimal might be a really, really good fit. That's a good pick. Let me read off this list, then you owe me one more Laker, and then maybe we can talk Clippers. Boogie Cousins, number one. He's the guy that everybody's wanting, which, I get why, but Boogie hasn't been Boogie for a couple seasons. I got to read off this whole list. Isaiah Thomas, Iman Shumpert, Joe Johnson, Alan Crabb, Anthony Tolliver. These are some pretty good shooters, some pretty good players. Pau Gasol. Now, Tony just mentioned Pau Gasol. He wrote an article about the Lakers bringing him back, and he gave a thumbs down. I'm all for bringing Pau back because I'm nostalgic. Tony doesn't have any nostalgia. He doesn't want Pau back. but Powell is
I,
available.
I do have
Jamal
nostalgia. I do have nostalgia, but how does nostalgia help the Lakers?
It doesn't. It has no bearing on whether they'll win a game or not at all. I agree with your point, man. I do. I do. I read the article. I think it's a great article. I just think it'd be nice to have him for a minute or two, honestly, and that's
Yeah,
it.
make
So
it
so that
coach.
everybody can give him
Go
his
back and
applause
coach.
when he comes in. That's all. But Jamal Crawford, the last NBA game he played last season, he scored 50 points. I think it was 51. Why he hasn't been picked up, I get it, but he's available. Darren Collison, should he choose to come back. J.R. Smith, Lance Stevenson. Man, there's a long list. Nick Young, Kenneth Fareed, Jeremy Lin. There's some decent players. So okay, you started with the Manimal. Let's stay with the Lakers. I think the Lakers, and you nailed it. I think the Lakers are going to need a garbage man. I love that term, right? So when you look at this list, Boogie would fit. Now Boogie's not necessarily a garbage man because the guy still thinks he can shoot threes, and I don't think he gets that. He's kind of on the downside of his career, fortunately, predominantly due to injuries. So he'd be a fit for sure, but I don't think he'd be a good fit. I think you're right. I think the Manimal is a great fit. um, Somebody like Greg Monroe, I think would probably be a pretty good fit too. And I'm talking just specifically if Dwight doesn't play. This is a guy who just kind of fell off a cliff, but was a great rebounder, a guy you don't have to write plays for, a guy who's a garbage man. You coined it. I love the term. He's a guy who's just going to go out there, get rebounds, put the ball back in, and knows what to do. I think the most important thing, whoever they end up picking up, it's got to be a veteran, right? It's got to be somebody who, understands the game and understands you're going to be the eighth or ninth man off the floor, and you got to be ready off the bench rather. So I like Greg Monroe. I think he'd be a pretty interesting pick. You got anybody else? You got a number two? What? You know what? Let's leave the Lakers for now and let's talk about the Clippers. The Clippers, and you and I talked about this. They're the most stacked team in the NBA. They go deep. And just before the season, the Lakers had picked up Dion Waiters, right? And the Clippers had picked up Noah, Joakim Noah. So we're the Clippers are deep, but there's some pretty good players here. And if you're giving me two more players, I'm picking up two more players. Do you have a player in mind for the Clippers?
Um, that would be a lot harder for me, because I don't see the Clippers as having a glaring weakness or
Yeah,
glaring need. I think
right.
that they could pick up any two players. I think that when you say Greg Monroe, I think he would fit well on the Clippers. I think
Agreed.
that uh, I don't know. Maybe Lance Stevenson or Isaiah Thomas, but that would be hard for me. I think that
Yeah,
um, they probably need, maybe not Isaiah Thomas. What they need are team players.
right.
Um, Isaiah Thomas is a little bit of a head case. You talk about somebody that still thinks that they're in the top echelon of NBA players.
Yeah,
Isaiah Thomas still thinks that
yeah,
he's that 1 year wonder that he had at 29 points a game.
yeah,
He did that one
yeah,
season, and he's the second coming of Zeke. And so I think they could use a guard and a big man, but I think that they're so deep, like you stated before, that they could have their pick
right.
of the litter. Um, so I mean, they just need good character guys that are
Yeah,
team players, preferably guys with deep playoff experience, maybe
right,
even some championship experience. Um,
right.
and so,
Okay. I'm going to go back to the nostalgia, and I would love to see Jamal Crawford back with the Clippers. He won, I think, two six man of the year. What? You're laughing. I'm nostalgic. We've established. I would love to see that. I think the Clippers have got a great opportunity. I think for the Clippers and the Lakers, it's really unique here because they've got an opportunity to bring somebody along, and whoever this is they're gonna win a championship. You said it before. The champion's coming out of LA, more than likely. So how cool would it be, I think, for somebody like Jamal Crawford to come back? Do they need him? No, they don't need him. Would it be kind of cool? Yeah, it would be kind of cool. Um, so yeah, when I look at this list, the first name that pops out at me is Jamal, and then I think I'm gonna go back now to the Lakers. A real what I see as a glaring need for the Lakers are shooters. Even still, the team has played great. They don't have a lot of weaknesses, but if the game is going to come down to somebody's needing to shoot a big three, uh, I don't know who on that team. I don't trust. LeBron is a good 3-point shooter. He makes them. I certainly don't trust AD. Um, Caruso, Corver, Kuzma. Who do you trust, right?
Danny
But
Green.
Danny Green. Yeah, Danny Green from the corner. That's probably as close as you're going to get to somebody who's probably a sure thing. But I look at this list and I see Alan
That's
Crabb.
close as you're gonna get, yeah.
What'd you say?
That's probably as close as you're gonna get. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. And that's where I think they've got a gap. So somebody like Alan Crabb, somebody like Anthony Tolliver, these guys are 3-point shooters. That's their job. They're not going to defend. They're not even going to play team defense. But they're going to shoot the ball and they're going to make it
Right.
a good amount of the time. So to me, to get a big man who does the dirty work for the Lakers and a really good 3-point shooter, a veteran, man, that's a coup. That's phenomenal. That's a great haul. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so the reason why I was laughing was not nostalgia, is because my second player pick was Jamal Crawford for the Lakers. And for the very same reason that you said. Not only can he shoot the corny, but he can score from anywhere. And I don't trust Dion Waiters. I think Dion Waiters has the capability, but he's a head case. And like you said, the last time Jamal Crawford was in the NBA, he dropped 50. So he can drop 13 in a minute still.
Yeah.
And he's played well in the Drew League. I've seen him play well in the Drew League not too long ago. So, I like Jamal Crawford on the Lakers. I also do like if Boogie Cousins is healthy, that 32% from three that he can shoot. I wouldn't want him out there all the time, but he does stress the defense. I don't need him to be Sacramento Kings Boogie Cousins. I just need him to be decent. And I think that he could still be decent, but only if he's healthy. Only if he's healthy, because I think that he can give you whatever Dwight Howard's giving you, except for, he can't really play defense off the pick and roll. Yeah. But
he's not going to block shots either.
The rebounding. Right. No, he's not going to block. It's ridiculous at his height. But his rebounding and his scoring is something that can be utilized. He's a guy that you put in there. He can take some pressure off of him. But, I mean, like you say, he's not going to block shots. But is Kenneth Faried a shot blocker? So,
nah.
I don't know. I don't know. Could Pau Gasol really give you 10 to 15 minutes in the place of Dwight Howard? Could he really do that? That would be interesting at age 39. You're talking about a 39-year-old Pau Gasol. So
I can give the Lakers 10 minutes. I'm not going to do anything out there. There's a difference between being out there and contributing. I can give him 10 minutes. I got no problem.
I could
go out there. Give me the ball, pass it to LeBron. I can do that for 10 minutes, no problem. But you're right, Powell's not going to contribute. But there are some players on here who can. I think the overriding thing here, the thing I'm taking away from this, and I really hadn't considered it, but I'm hearing you say this, and I'm kind of even hearing myself say it. I think the Lakers have an opportunity to really shore up some holes. By picking the right two guys. They're not going to depend on these guys for 20, 25 minutes, but every NBA champion ever has had that sixth man shoot a big three, right? At the right time, get a big rebound. block a big shot. We're talking Robert Ory. We're talking Steve
Right.
Kerr. We're talking about guys that are, Robert Ory might not be a great example because even Kerr, these were position players, but these were not stars. And you're always going to have a non-star take a big shot. And right now, the only one on the Lakers who you and I both said we trust to hit that big shot when you need it is Danny Green. They need more players like that, and there are some available. So I think the Lakers have a bigger need to get this right,
Danny Green.
whereas the Clippers is just kind of a luxury, at this point. It's just a luxury for them. It'd be nice, maybe it's nostalgia to bring back somebody like
Right.
Jamal Crawford or just for the sake of comedy, bringing in Nick Young. Why not? The Clippers have that luxury, whereas I don't think the Lakers do. All right, man. So just to kind of recap, right? I think it's a solid asterisk this season. Tony is hedging his bet a little, but definitely sees it, especially if we have a lot of players not coming. And right now we don't know what these teams are going to look like. Um, the playoff season, given the champs only 2 months time, it's not fair. But this season's not going to be fair. We're just going to have to kind of wrap our heads around that. And then in terms of who the Lakers and the Clippers should pick up, we threw out some really good names. Kenneth Faried, Jamal Crawford probably seem to be the favorites. We talked Alan Crabb, Anthony Tolliver, Boogie, IT came up. There's some good picks, and it'll be very interesting. And it's not like these guys are only available to the Lakers and the Clippers, right? Some of these guys are going to end up with the Bucks. Some of these guys are going to end up with the Spurs. Who knows? But yeah, it's an interesting time. That's all we have. We like to keep these things kind of short. We've been talking for about 30 minutes, so sorry we went a little bit long. But thank you to everybody who participated. Well, none of y'all participated, man. Next time, leave some comments or questions. But I do see 13 viewers now. Thank you to each of you. Um, we'll get better at this as we do more and more. I need to figure out how to know who you 13 are so I can call you by name. But we definitely want to hear from you and understand what your thoughts are on the topics we discussed. We're LA Peach Basket. You can find us at lapeachbasket.com. Make this at least a weekly process, so we'll definitely be back next Saturday, and maybe a few times in between then, depending on what's going on in the NBA. But we appreciate the time, Tony. Thank you for joining. We're LA Peach Basket. We're the voice of the fan,
Thank you.
trademarked, official. Thank you, and we'll talk again next week.